All right, this is I guess episode 3
Yeah, 3.
of Keep Press and Play. We should be on episode
Too many. We should
33, 53, something at this
yeah.
point.
We should
But
be a lot further than 3. However, having 4 kids, myself, and then this super ambitious guy with all of his dental work and hunting endeavors.
just
It's
been
just
slack, just no excuses though.
yeah, no excuses, no excuses. But it's been a hot minute. We've been trying to get one in person. As you can see, we are in person.
And my parents' building, so which is the most quiet place when we're together. Kids running around, dogs running
Yeah.
around,
Hopefully, none
lots
of the
going on.
kids bust in. Can't promise it, but
If they do, we'll do a commercial cut for Iron Will Broadheads. Let's start there.
yeah. So, speaking of hunting endeavors and Iron Will,
Shout out Bill and Marty. Iron Will just spent bear camp in Saskatchewan with Marty and Bill. Brought to you by Dan Staten at Elkshape. Appreciate you, Dan. Um, and Riley hanging out with us, hanging out with me a lot of time in the blind in a very small, not small, I mean large, but when you got 2 people in there and a bow and camera gear, and we tried to sit me and Dan and Riley in there, but it was tough. But to explain and elaborate what I'm talking about, I was selected out of the hat by Dan at Elkshape, mowing the grass with my Mountain Ops weighted vest on, and I'm getting a call from him, and it says Dan Staten from Instagram, and I'm like, I get so many spam calls. I'm like, this is fake, right? It's got
right?
to be fake. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but what if it's not fake? I got to answer this. Is this really Dan? And so I answer it, and I was selected for the Saskatchewan Bear giveaway, which I entered you in unknowingly, by the way.
Yeah, I think you do that more times than not. I've seen some stuff come across the email recently that I was like, I don't remember entering that, but hey,
But
anyhow,
but the beautiful thing, there was no paywall. You just be a subscriber, put in your email, and Dan was like, it's important for me because he gets tired of the, oh, for every point, for every dollar you spend, it's 1 point towards whatever. And I mean, like, there's certain things I like. I mean, like, the born and raised guys, they have but it's like, I basically at this point, just buy calls from them. And, you know, every once in a while I'll see a shirt or a hat I want or something like that, and I'll buy it. But
right.
most times it's just calls. But so then, I was selected for this bear hunt. And so I decided to drive to Saskatchewan, which was with Eastern Sky Outfitters, which they're excellent people, um, just amazing. Rich, Marla, uh, McKenna, Carly, like they're just good people, man, and they put in a lot of effort. It's kind of sucky. There's a long drive to the hunt spot, but they're looking at some ways to change that. But there's mega giant bears there, and here I am coming in as a bear rookie,
Yeah.
more for lack of better words, and uh, you know me, I'm a go big or go home kind of guy, and so I wasn't trying to be selfish, but when you have 500-pound bears hanging around, I was after a 500-pound bear.
Right. Yeah.
So first night, Dan smokes a 491, 92-pound bear, which beat his all-time record he had just killed in Alberta by 100 pounds.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Another guy in camp had killed a 300-pound bear, and it made it seem like that was a kid bear compared to Dan's. So then the rest of us at camp, by all seriousness, we're like comparing. We're looking for what Dan killed,
Right.
and they're there, but these mature bears are like ghosts, same way as a mature deer, but like it'd be like a 200-inch deer who's a ghost, and he only got that way because he's smart and he's old and he's seen all of his friends be killed.
Yeah.
And he knows what it's like to be hunted. And he's like, okay, so if I just only come out at nighttime, I run up my girls at night,
Yeah.
I'm good. And that's how they live to be 20 plus years. And some of these bears here are over 30 years old, over 35 years. I will be interested to see how old Dan's bear actually comes out to be. I'm guessing over 35. I really am. So
that's pretty mind blowing. You know, you think of, I don't know. Obviously, animals have different lifespans in nature, but 35 years of somebody being able to outsmart the human, that's pretty impressive.
right, and bears are impressive. I mean, what I've realized here is, well, they're starting to move down and out from the coast and from the mountains. They're starting to get into, the middle parts of North Carolina. But Dan's like, so what are you gonna do with this? Like, there's mega giant black bears in North Carolina, and I'm like, yes, like that's it. Yes, I have to hunt it. But I get, I'm so ate up on deer. It's like I want to hunt ducks, but it's like, yeah,
ducks versus deer. A little duck breast versus a whole 2 back straps and however many pounds of meat.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, duck is, some people don't like duck, but I've had it and it's tasty. But for me, it would be, not that my dogs are like trained duck dogs. It might be an absolute nightmare. But I live adjacent to ponds with geese and ducks coming in.
Sure.
But I'm always like, I don't want to go in there because that's,
deer
it's
territory.
close to where my deer are coming through. I don't want to booger anything up and push them to the neighbor's property.
Yeah.
Which I probably did this last year anyway. The day that my buck got killed, the one that I passed, that I probably wouldn't have passed twice. I don't know. It made me sick, but it is what it is. I'm just after. I really want to shoot like a 150 plus class deer, and without it just being pure luck, it might not happen for me.
Well,
it's hard to hunt a 20-something acre property that's not yours, that you can't. That's my in-laws. I can't really do a lot with, and the way that I hunt it is just stay out of it and just hunt smart on the edges where I don't have to be intrusive in any way, and let them feel safe and let them get pressured from other directions and feel safe on not my property, but the property that I'm hunting.
It's funny. You said something about the 20 acres, growing up, figured, you have anything over 5 acres, you're good to go as far as hunting. And don't get me wrong, if that's what you have, then
you can kill big deer on 5 acres.
You can do it.
It's just hard to pass them.
Having bought the property I'm at now, 23 acres, realizing that although it's a good amount of land, I see why people go for 100-acre ranches, 200-acre ranches. Obviously, the more land you have, the better control you can have over if your target buck gets shot or something of that nature. But it's crazy how as you get older, just the perspective kind of changes. I don't want to by any means say that 23 acres is not a significant amount of land, because I'm blessed and it's a good property to hunt, but you still have the deer that are passing through, and you can't control what your neighbors do, I guess, is what it really comes down to.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even when you talk about, my buddy Graham, which he sold part of his farm, even with him having 200 and what, forgive me, Graham, if I misquote this, but like 210 acres, he's passing 150 deer and they're getting shot by the neighbor, and he's getting frustrated because he's after 180 class deer or bigger. But at the same time, it's like, it's hard as a neighboring individual. I personally wouldn't be able to personally pass 150-inch deer right now at this point in my career. Now, once I've killed 150-inch deer, then I'm like, okay, I can pass that.
Right, yeah.
But the problem is, he was having conversations with his neighbors, and then they're like, oh, I got you, and then they're still getting shot. So he was like, so he's moved to the Midwest, and he's buying farms in the Midwest, and he killed a booner last year. I think it was like 184, 185-inch deer. Just nasty, nasty big deer, like 300-pound buck.
I was gonna say that's a big whitetail. I know
Yeah.
you out west folk. If we have any out west folk, hunting muleys. Obviously, muleys far bigger than whitetail. So, but for a whitetail,
For a whitetail in North Carolina, if you could shoot a 130-inch whitetail,
true, very true. 130 inches in North Carolina.
that's a pretty big deer.
It's pretty, yeah.
But I mean, there's bigger ones that are killed. But I'm saying, as a whole, generally, most of the deer here don't live to be more than 3 years old, 3.5 years old. They get shot at three because they see a 3.5-year-old 8-point that looks good, and I get it. You can't eat the antlers, but it's just that chase of killing a bigger, more mature buck than you did the last time. Your last buck.
Yeah.
Shoot your does for meat. Control your does for doe management. Does taste better anyway. Yearling does are my favorite to eat personally. If a yearling doe walks out and I'm out for meat, smoke's happening. Like,
yeah.
I'm sending that arrow, not smoke, but she's getting smoked.
Right.
But dude, you should see the whitetail. Speaking of Eastern Sky, you should see those whitetail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, I should pull up the phone and show you, but 170 plus class, like,
good old Canadian whitetail, huh?
richest girls. I think I know McKenna killed one. McCarley, they were like, and then just like being in their like kitchen in their living room, and you're just like, it's like bear, moose, huge whitetail, huge whitetail, huge whitetail, huge, like just all over the wall. I mean, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, that whole area is just known for mega giants, and it's just all ag. I mean, they have tons of. I mean, that's why
nutrients and
yeah, dude, that's
that
why those,
sort of thing. Got crops to eat on,
and that's why those bears are getting so massive. So it's just like canola or soybean or whatever, all this ag fields, and then you have these patches of, they call them poplars, but aspen patches, aspen groves, and these little swamps, or as they call them, sloughs. And so it's always little, like there's just little, and it's just patches of that in between. And then this is in the Duck Mountains. This is like neighboring, like what is like the historically known, just like great hunting area there. It's right on the Saskatchewan Manitoba border, but dude, just crazy. So I know we've kind of been back and forth with whitetail, and I never finished my initial thought, but
we kind of chased the rabbit.
Such as a conversation with me, my ADD brain, like I can have 20 different side quests and still have a singular conversation come together, but it works for me. So as a viewer, if it doesn't, sorry, but it's just the way my brain is like clicking on 15 cylinders. So, but back to the bear hunt, back to that area. It's crazy, man. So I waited out the whole week. Had some massive sows, like, and just to be clear for viewers, sows are females, boars are males, and so when you're hunting over bait, the key is for you to be able to identify a male versus a female, especially the time of year where you do not want to shoot a sow with cubs, right?
Right, yeah.
So we were hunting a really awesome spot. We had some really awesome encounters, and even Riley was like, and Dan were like, this is some of the most amazing bear encounters ever.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was crazy. I mean, they're climbing up trees, they're like huffing at each other, and dude, I cannot wait for that film to drop. I just cannot wait to relive it. Hopefully I don't look like an absolute idiot, but I'm just such it was just like, if I knew I wasn't shooting these bears just to view them, I'm like sitting here, I'm recording as much as I can because I wanted to show the girls, I wanted to show Beck, Emmett and Sutton, like Beck's like, let me see that bear, and that's how Emmett was too. Let me see the bear,
Yeah, and so he watched the video that you had sent of the kill. I don't know. that first day that you sent it, he probably watched it at least 10 times in a row. Play it again. Play it again.
Yeah, last night he probably did like 10 times in a row on 3 different occasions. Just from the draw to the shot, to the draw to the shot. That's all he wanted to see. But yeah, so these sows, man, they would come in, and there's 2 giant sows, and both of which, even Dan, who's a very seasoned bear hunter, was like, and even Riley, like there was one night, like we were like, Riley was like, I think you should shoot that bear, and I'm like, are you sure? Is that nice? Or is that a sow? He thought it for sure was a boar, and I wasn't sure. I mean, it was just after a couple of days of hunting. You're just looking for sows. You're looking for a skinnier wrist, a smaller wrist. You're trying to look at their head and their nose shape, and you're checking kind of the way their ears are. You're looking at their back. There's a lot of factors that determine, but here, the best way for you to really know is to see a penis or a vagina.
Yeah.
Like, simple as that. Like, you're looking for genitalia. And there'll be times like Dan's just like, do not shoot until I just can tell you I've confirmed something, or you've confirmed something, and you're looking at me. Yeah. Because we couldn't all fit in the blind where we were initially hunting. So me and Riley are in this box blind. Dan's in the tree right above us. And so there was a window right here, and I opened the window, and so I would just pull up and look at Dan, and then look, and so we were communicating that way because we didn't have signal, and so we were communicating in that manner. Well, one night I had left the window in there; they're plexiglass windows, so we were just popped all the windows out.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is that you have people that have seen and killed a lot of bears, and it was hard for them to determine whether these are male or female. So, we had 2 big sows. One was I would say over 350. Both, I guess they were both probably over 350 pounds of sows. Trophy bears, either way.
Right.
One had 2-year-old cubs. One had tiny babies, the cutest little footballs. 4 of them, and her hands were full, and they would just run around. There was 2 that I would laugh, and I told Katie, I said, it's like Albie in London. They just would wrestle, and just go back and forth at each other, and it was the cutest thing ever. Yeah. But what that mama would do is she would tuck them in the swamp, up in a tree over there, or throw them over here on the other side in the aspens, run them up in a tree, and she would come in and sit by the bait by herself and eat for like 30 minutes. Then she might leave and go get them, or there was one night we were hunting the ground, like I heard her call her cubs. They were in the swamp. And I was actually on the ground, and I saw a black spot, and I was like, that sure looks exactly like a cub. And sure enough, they were on this log, and they were jumping off into the swamp water. Like, it's the cutest thing. Like,
yeah,
they're bears are fascinating animals, and but anyway, my point is that you just don't know.
Right.
So, like, you're just sitting there at the bait, and they take their time, and they're coming in there, and you're just like looking through the binos, like, is it like you're trying to look at the wrist, you're looking at the ears, you're trying to compare all this stuff. But like, basically, it was like, can we see genitalia? And that was what was getting us by. You wait on them to stand up on the barrel before you can see it, or they bend over and they're cleaning themselves or something.
Yeah.
But just bears chasing everywhere, so. We just had an unfortunate south wind that was kind of blowing straight to the bait. The bears know you're there, but when we're after these mature bears, these guys aren't coming in on a bad wind.
Right.
Same way, which I guess I can't say that. I always say some of the biggest deer I've killed have been killed on marginal winds, where it's like, it's not a terrible wind, it's not a great wind. It's like more in their favor, but if you could figure out a spot where they are, like where the wind just doesn't actually hit them. It's just going right here, and they're coming right here. And,
yeah.
But if they get to that spot, they're going to smell you. But if you could shoot them from here to here in this window, they're going to come in with a favorable wind that's not favorable for you. And I'm still going to say, they laugh at me with the nose jammer there, but whatever. If it increases my odds, I'm a big believer in the nose jammer. I've had deer literally should have been able to smell me, and they could not.
Yeah.
I've seen it work in real life. And I use it in the Elkwoods too. It's coming harder to find, I think, though. I hope they're not discontinuing it.
Yeah. Got to order it online.
made me a little nervous. So
Takes a while to get there.
I should have bought some discounted stuff I seen at Tractor Supply a while back, but I didn't. But anyway, so we ended up hunting the ground one night after we realized it's just not a good wind. Dan's like, "All right, bro, how scared of you of bears?" I was like, "Black bears? No, I mean I'm not that scared." I was like, "We're all right." He's like, "Cool, we're hunting the ground." I'm like, "All right, sweet." So we hunt the ground, and you'll see in the film like we have bears very close to us, like yards away. Those 2-year-old cubs, and who I call Big Mama comes in, and she's probably what 15 yards, maybe 12, but really we could say 15 yards. And then even Dan was like, "That was enough for me. I've had enough." Like close enough because she could have closed 50. When we watch them chase other bears, when they start running, they're fast, man.
Yeah.
And she could have been on us in a half a second. And I didn't want to shoot a sow, but if she charged us with 2-year-old cubs, I was going to shoot her. I was going to put her in her chest. So when that happened, I was just trying to get a line of sight so that if I had to draw, I don't shoot Dan or Riley in the back of the head. But that was intense. So, but anyway, let's fast forward. We finally talked to Marla, and we're like, "Dude, those sows are keeping all the boars out of there. Like, with especially with the babies, which a boar could come in and kill the babies to force that sow to go into heat, which is it's not a pleasant thing to hear, but that's nature. I know lions do that. I think Riley told me hippos. I don't know hippos do that, but it's like force heat the female because they don't want somebody else's genetics into the next population.
Right.
They want their genetics
Right.
when they're the alpha male. And so outside of a boar just coming in and trying to dominate that area, those two mamas were keeping everything out of there.
Yeah.
We were seeing basically the same bears, the mama and cubs, and then what Dan called beaver bear, who just love the beaver. They love that beaver, especially when it's fresh. When it gets old, they're kind of like, eh. They're so powerful, and they can pull it through these cages.
Oh, yeah.
So we switch spots when we go to this other place. Cool spot. Some beautiful color phase bears there, but our color phase was off limits. Like, we had one color phase that I had to go on. Color phase bear that I had to go on. That was Axel, but I never seen him. But then it was down to the last night, and as Riley would say, a handsome bear came in. And me and Riley had seen that bear the night before. And Riley was like, "I'll just give it one more night. You got one more day to hunt. If that bear's here tomorrow, sure." He's like, "Well, then my last night there, Dan and them had to leave early. Bill and Marty, Dan and Riley all had to leave on Friday. So I told them all about Friday morning. I go on like a 4-mile walk, kind of clear my head, which is what I just kind of started doing in the day there because I'm banged up in my shoulder. And came back, shot my bow, and went to that same spot we hunted the night before. This bear walks out, and Carly's like, "Is it a male?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen this thing. That's definitely a male." So then once she sees it, she's like, "What do you think?" And I was like, I told him I did not want to go. For my first bear, I definitely didn't want to go home empty-handed after driving 30 hours to Canada.
Right, yeah.
I wanted a good, decent boar, and I was like, but it's 7. Like, it was like before 7. Rich came in, rebaited at like 6:30, and then these bears were in there like 6:45. Had 4 different bears on us right there at that time, and I was like, but there was a big boy in there. Who was that was in there? I don't know. It'll come to me later. I forgot that bear's name, but he was massive. Like, big roly-poly. I have to pull up a picture and show you. Yeah.
I was looking at some of the
definitely
bears.
Over 500.
Like Thunder, Axel, ZZ.
Dan killed ZZ, I think.
Okay.
This was either Ozzy or
Ozzy, yeah.
This was either Ozzy or there was one more that I don't know.
Was it Thunder?
No. dang it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's going to come to me when we're not podcasting. And I'm like, yeah, there it is. But should have touched up on it. But I was like, this bear had been coming in with a big sow and had been there. And so it was so hot when we were there. So these bears were daylighting in the morning, which unfortunately just the proximity of the hunt spot from the farm, it's an hour and a half drive. So we weren't hunting mornings. We're leaving at 2 or getting there and hunting, from 3:30 on till 9:30 when it was dark.
Right.
And I'm like, that bear's been in here all night, all day. And it was silent, which made me believe, and these bears are nervous. When they're coming in nervous, something bigger's around. Like, they're nervous for a reason because Big Boy's been running them off. They don't want to get killed.
Right.
Because bears will eat other bears. Okay, hurt them. It's pretty fun to watch, though. But these bears were a little bit, I don't know, like a twig would break and they're up the tree. They're scared. And so then, I talked to Katie on the phone and she was like, babe, I think you should just shoot a bear today, one that makes you happy. And so Carly was like, what do you think? I was like, Katie said I should shoot a bear. And she said, I agree with Katie. I think you should shoot this bear. Then, yeah, I'm ready to shoot this bear. Like, because it was the gamble. If I pass this bear,
yeah,
it literally could have been just sows for the rest of the night. And then I go home with nothing. Which, I said this in my post that I made on Instagram. If I still didn't film a tag, I still would be blessed.
Right.
Like, not just because I got to experience this, but just life in general. The Lord has blessed me so much.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in the message this morning when the preacher was just talking about, you could be paralyzed. You could be, man, that hit me like a ton of bricks. Because,
yeah.
I mean, I have to be careful and be crying over here on camera, but that could be me. I could be paralyzed when I fell and broke my back, but I'm not. Yeah. But I'm not. And then what I did is I've came back and then I did what my lifelong goal was, to kill my first elk with a bow.
Yeah.
I'm about to kill my second one this year.
Yes, sir.
And I killed a black bear with my bow, and it just so happened that I self-filmed it. So just bless. But I did kill that bear, and so we come in, and it was probably like a 20-minute event of just, is this the right bear? Da-da-da-da. And then once I decided I was going to shoot him, it was at least probably 10 or 12 minutes of waiting on the right shot.
Yeah.
So he's at the front barrel on me, and I'm like, I'm about to shoot him, and then he stands up, and I'm like, I know this iron will. I'm a good shot. Like, I know this iron wheel will do what it needs to do. I can take that shot. And Carly's like, no. And I was like, that's fair. I don't want that shot, but I'm saying I can. But he gets down and then just wait for the color phase to get out of the way and wait for this bear to give me a shot. So I'm drawn, and which that was the second time I drew on that bear. And I draw, and he gives me a shot, and I put it exactly where I needed to. And he ran up a tree. And then I was like, he ran up a tree. And Carl was like, let's go put a second arrow in. I was like, I'm all for that. So I should have left the film rolling, but I didn't. I stopped the film, and as I'm stopping the film, you can hear him. He falls out of the tree. Like, he passes out. And then he does, like, labor breathing for just a few seconds, and then that was it. I mean, he probably was completely unconscious when he hit the ground because, like, when he was falling out of the tree, he was already limp. He was already,
yeah.
That shock had already happened. I mean, he was out. But it was perfect double long, and that's the only thing you can ask for.
Right.
But, dude, adrenaline. First of all, it's 85 degrees outside. You're sitting in a box blind. It's hot.
Yeah.
It's everything. And then that adrenaline hits. Like, there were so many times, I don't know if it'll show it in the film or if you've seen it in the clips I sent you, but I clip, and then the shot's not there. So instead of me just sitting there, like, wearing my shoulder out, holding that position, I unclip and wipe the sweat off my hands, and then reclip, and then unclip and wipe the sweat off my hands.
I didn't notice that. That's funny.
It happened, I would say, at least 4 times, maybe 5 times I unclipped and wiped my hands. Maybe not that many. I don't know. Maybe it's 3 or 4. But I have to go back and watch it and count. But yeah, I mean, it's a rush. You know how it is. But whereas with deer, like, you kind of have a split window. You don't have as much time with bear. Like, there's a lot of time with bear, and you're just waiting for the right shot. So, but yeah, it was awesome. And then instead of waiting on them to come with the 4-wheeler, I'm like, I could drag this thing out of here, Carly. She's like, yeah. I was like, I can do that. And so we got the cart, and I put it around my waist, and I drug it out for like that first 100 yards. I was like, yeah, it's not bad. And then like I'm like huffing and puffing. I was like embarrassed. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm really out of shape right now. Like this is a gut check. I've got to get ready for elk season. But I mean, the bear wasn't light. Don't be mistaken. And I was like, that last little bit, I just go a little bit, and then when Carly was like, let me try. I was like, no, I'm not going to let you pull my bear. I'm a man. I'm going to pull this bear out myself. But she wanted to try, and then she was like, yeah, no. So then that like maybe like that last few yards as I was like pulling it, I was like, this thing got lighter. And I kind of glanced back, and she was like, she was like pushing it.
Helping out.
And then we got the thing on the back of the truck, and we drove out of there, and I got back, and I had already started skinning it before Rich got there because I shot it at 7:07 or 7, something like that. So it was pretty early. So, but anyway, that was the bear hunt. It was awesome. It was great to be in camp with Dan and Riley and Bill and Maury, and just being with Eastern Sky. And
I'm glad you got that experience.
Just making friends, man. I mean, they're just good people, man. All of them. And the one thing I'll say is, being online and having such a presence like Dan gets a lot of haters, right? I mean, like, dude, he posted a picture of like a baby duck that one of the girls had found there. And he was getting haters comments about, being like an animal killer and all this other stuff. But people don't realize you can love animals and still hunt animals. Life something has to die for you to live. You can say, oh, even if you're a vegan, I can get into that too. Like things are dying for you to live, whether that's plants or all that small animals that's dying from all the glyphosate spraying or the combining, or so the rabbit and the field mice and these birds and foxes and all these other small animals, that doesn't matter, but whatever. That's a whole other side thing. But anyway, I'm not meaning to bull rush this conversation. But it was just cool. He gets a lot of hate, but he's a great guy. And I'm not just saying that to, kiss his butt, but he's a good dude, man. And he works hard. And you know what? If anybody deserved to kill a monstrous bear, I feel like it's him. And I'm ready to see his comeback this year after his ACL surgery. He's got, I think he told me, I want to say, Dan, I'm sorry if I shouldn't be saying this, but I think he told me 6 elk tags. But you have 4 last year.
If you want, you can slide some my way if you think that's too many.
I'll come shoot one of those elk for you, bud.
I'll gladly take one.
So, but Bill and Marty, they're in Colorado, so
Marty's gonna where they say.
Yeah, Marty's gonna be filming Bill and then his hunt, and then as soon as Bill kills, Marty's got his own tag. I'm not gonna say where, obviously, but me and Blaine have a tag together, both elk and bear. So I'm hoping to shoot an elk and then shoot a bear off the gut pile.
Yeah, that'd be a little. That'll be a little different. I guess if you're gonna sit in the gut pile, maybe not. But
even if I don't, I saw a bear. I should have been able to shoot. Yeah. 100 yards. Bear didn't know we were there, but I didn't have a tag in that unit last year because I had a tag in Blaine's in-laws unit.
We've seen a bear every year we went.
We always see bears.
Yeah.
And I could have killed that bear back in our original OTC unit that year. And you're like, why didn't you say like, hey bear, or whistle or something? I was like, because I was here to kill elk. The big one when we were hunting on the top of that.
Oh, the big old roly-poly.
Yeah. That was.
I didn't know if you were talking about the 2 brown bear, black bear, rather. They were up the way when we were down in that thick stuff.
Oh, those were good looking. That was a good looking color phase. No, that was a sow with cubs. They were 2-year-old cubs. Now that I know what I know now, but I got to learn so much about bears. They're fascinating. But yeah, I would love to spot and stalk, and a fall bear with all that fat.
Yeah,
I've actually messaged on like a forum post, and I actually messaged Bill yesterday, and I was like, you said you render fat. Are you do the low and slow in the crock pot? Because that's the way that I've heard a lot of people do it. Or I saw like Brian Call and Ryan Lampers and them, they'll just do like the jet bowl and like render it down, and then they get like I think somebody else that does it. like that way, and you get like pork rinds
Yeah.
from the fat,
Yeah.
but it's a high temp. So I might do some in the crock pot, and then I might try some in like a. I don't have a fryer because I don't fry food. I don't eat fried food, but I'll eat some food and some bear fat. That can't be bad for you. What's bad for you is frying it in canola oil,
Yeah.
peanut oil, and all that garbage. It's rancid, disgusting. Don't even get me started. but so I'm looking to render that bear down, and it's processed and frozen right now. But I'm gonna can some of it, and I think I'm gonna burger the rest. You know, so I don't know. We'll see.
Bear burger. It was funny. My kids, when he killed his elk, he had made some elk burgers. And my kids, when I told them that he had shot it, that he had sent me the text that he had shot it, they were like, "Listen, I love Uncle Coco, but I am not eating bear." I said, "Well, you know, you gotta try it, right? If he brings it to Mimi's and Papa's, I am not eating bear." I said, "Okay, well, that's your thing." So they already knew you were going to try to get them to try some, which kids aren't really that picky. I mean, they've eaten deer heart, they've eaten, you know, deer liver, you know, they eat venison often, you know, so it's they're not picky kids, but they said that they didn't know that they could do the bear thing. So,
well, it's an off-putting thought, you know. I mean, just they're very humanistic, man. Like
yeah,
it, and even when I shot the bear, man, like for me, it never feels. And then maybe that's just because I'm not ashamed to say I have a soft heart for God's creation. I love animals, I really do. So every time I kill an animal, it's that double emotion, triple emotion of you're super excited, you're super happy. I'm also super sad. Like you've taken a life, and when it's an animal's life, but the way I see it is, we think we're so much better than animals or whatever or whatnot, but we have dominion over them, but it doesn't mean that we should not appreciate them.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why I got nothing for like animal abuse. I got nothing for like these people in Wyoming, like torturing wolves and stuff like that. I don't like wolves around either, but I don't think they should be tortured. I don't think an animal should be mistreated. You know, like I don't think, and I don't want an animal to suffer. So that's why it's important. That's why I put in the work. That's why I work so hard, because I want that moment to be so second nature to me that I'm putting it exactly where it needs to, and that animal dies. And it sometimes still it doesn't matter. But then again, that's why I think your equipment matters. You know, like I shot 2 deer last year, and this is no offense to Josh Bomar and the Beast Broadhead. One of them was an absolute smoke show. The other one, because of a slight quarter, I had arrow misdirection. Now I'm shooting a 505 grain arrow out of a 82, 83 pound bow. Jonathan says it's 82. My scale says 83.4. Whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. There's enough kinetic energy. The thing, a 505 grain arrow going at 288 feet per second with 225 grains,
some ribs.
This should not be a problem. I shouldn't be able to shoot at this angle, and then the arrow misdirects, and it's coming out literally almost 90 degrees the other way. Whatever, but I didn't find that deer, and I get it. Lots of animals in Africa have been killed with it. It's a great broadhead. I'm not saying it's not.
Right, yeah.
But what it led me back to, and then even with this shooting this 150 wide, it's just, again, it just reconfirms my love for the Iron Will product. Now, I love a hybrid and stuff like that for deer, but again, there's been shots that I haven't taken that I should have taken because I didn't have an iron wheel on the end of my arrow. If I did have an iron wheel on the end of my arrow, I would have felt a lot more comfortable just in case you hit something.
Right.
I'm not saying take bad shots.
Right.
But when you have confidence in the equipment, the proof's in the pudding. And then even when I shot the bear, you know, Carly was like, "You went right through." Like, I already knew it was going to go right through. But, you know, I shot my elk with the 125, but, dude, that 150 is nasty. Like, completely silent. And for whatever reason, I started having a lot of drifting with my 125. I don't know. I really don't know. But once I got past, definitely once I got past 60 and 60 to 80, I really noticed it. I was having a lot. Only did some tweaks, you know, just to kind of fine tune my tune.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was shooting the 150, and it was like feel point. Like
Yeah.
so, it's like so I go to Jonathan. I was like, I love the 125. I had every intention to shoot the 125, but I built these couple arrows with using Bill stuff. And am I crazy to switch like a couple days before I'm leaving? And he was like, well, what are you more confident in? He was like, I think your pictures prove
The 150.
the 150.
Yeah.
And he was like, if it was me, I shoot the 150. He's like, but at the end of the day, it's really not going to matter because all your shots are going to be under 30 anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. But the big thing for me was there were two guys shooting 3D down in the ravine, because I don't know if it's been, they did all that clear cutting on the other side of Jonathan too. I think he said they're gonna do a solar farm over there, but they were shooting 3D down below me, and those guys came up and they're like, "Hey, are you shooting two different broadheads?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Well, we hear one, and then we don't hear the other." But it was just that 125, just which it's at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. It's really not. I shot my elk at 50 yards with it.
Yeah.
No problems. But there is a lot more noise with the 125 versus the 150 solid wide. And then the 125 regular single bevel is nasty. I could shoot that thing 100 yards and it hits exactly where my fill point hits.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
I didn't
nasty.
realize you were talking about the vented
Yeah.
125.
Which was we talked about it on the last podcast. That was part of my complaint.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like the 125 single bevel buzzed as loud as this double bevel, because there was like a thing where he made a special where you could buy a single broadhead at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the wide came out, I was like, I want to try that. Like, it's nasty. It's got a lot more cutting area, at least bigger hole.
Yeah.
And then that's why I switched to the 125 right before my elk hunt, and that's what I killed my elk with. But I always shoot a mixed quiver anyway. Like, I got a wide in there, I got a regular in there.
Yeah.
And then last year I carried a beast for a follow-up shot just in case. You know, just if I need to really lift one out there. Because the one thing I say about the beast is it flies great. It just takes me back to the cut on contact. If you put an arrow where it's supposed to go, they die.
Right. Yeah.
And so, but the problem is you just don't always get a lot of blood, but that bear bled like crazy. And there was blood everywhere.
It's pretty cool.
But there's no trail there. I mean, but he only went like, 20 yards. So, but when they're laying there, does it matter if there's a blood trail?
Right, yeah.
Same way as my elk. He was 39 yards from where I shot him. Does it matter if there was a blood trail? Plus, when you're in that kind of wilderness, outside of just having a red carpet, blood's hard to find anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but anyway, I feel like I've bulldozed this conversation. What have you been up to? Like, I know you've been doing some projects deer-wise.
Yeah. So I was kind of in the process of, I guess, building some structures on the property. I was talking about the 23 acres, trying to build a lean-to for my tractor and that sort of thing. And so, I guess I've kind of been doing like dual purpose. Had built some fencing for a garden. And so, say all that to say, while I was cutting down some trees and clearing, was looking ahead to deer season, trying to create better lanes, trying to create better flow, just kind of control them more. Last year was the first year that I was able to hunt the property. I was kind of pretty much going in blind. Hadn't really had any time to get cameras out to kind of see how they move. I have a good idea of how they move now. So just trying to restructure some of my timber and woods to kind of push them where I want them to go. And so with that, like I said, I didn't have a lot of time last year to prep things. So this year I went ahead and made, I don't know, maybe acre, maybe an acre size food plot around a high traffic area. I know they're crossing in, so guess just been trying to get them, because I know they pass through and bed in my property. But as rifle season kind of went in, or came in rather, had a lot of just passing through traffic for whatever reason. I mean, I saw some good deer. It's a lot of does. You know, at the beginning of last year, I wasn't sure what I had on the property or what was around. So my thought was to kind of pass up on those does early bow season, which looking back, definitely should have shot the couple that I had perfect opportunities to shoot, because there are an abundance of doe at that property. So
yeah,
looking to definitely do some doe management this year, since I know kind of what's around, and kind of the way that they flow. But yeah, so taking what I was able to capture and the knowledge that I was able to gain as far as like their activity, and kind of what they like and how they like to travel. Just kind of using some of that to try to better the property and give myself a better chance for success. A lot of my woods are thick, so just thinning out some of that timber, opening up some more lanes. I think it's going to give myself better chances for success. Like I said, you know, knowing that I have crazy amount of does, you know, early season when the archery season opens, I'm not going to be passing any doe this year, because there's plenty enough around. Come time for rut, those guys will come in. They which there were several big mature deer that daylighted actually, during, you know, the rut. Unfortunately, I just, it was either at the location that I decided not to hunt that day, or that you know, I was busy with other engagements, be it family or whatever. So yeah, been trying to do some, I guess, deer chores, if you will. Got a few more things that I'd still like to do, but not really pressing. I'd like to hang some actual stands. You know, I bought a saddle last year, and as far as for mobility, I like it, but I don't know, call me crazy. I think that a stand is just more comfortable, a traditional stand. I do like the harness that obviously the saddle comes with, but you know, anyways, I say all that to say I'd like to put up some traditional stands in a couple different locations that I thought where I saw a significant amount of activity last year. And that was part of the clearing that I was doing as I was trying to build, you know, the fencing for the garden, and trying to clear out some wooded area for that lean-to barn that I'm trying to finish up. So still got a lot more that I could do, especially as I get deeper into the property. very thick with briars. Definitely needs to be thinned out. A lot of pines.
Yeah, they like those briars though.
Yeah, they do, but
You
I got a
can't.
lot
You
of
can't hunt.
acreage. I got a lot of acreage that is just pine and briars, and it's very hard to access.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping to be a little bit further along than I actually am. But I made some good progress, towards the front end of the property, and Rome wasn't built in a day, so I don't expect to have it exactly how I want it within 1 or 2 years. I know it's a process, so we'll just continue to build, the property the way we want it. Try to get deer to move the way that we want, and set ourselves up best for success. Whatever that may be. If it's creating more food plots, and you know, obviously thinning out some of those briars in specific areas, making it easier shooting. It's definitely on my to-do list, but um, still in the process of trying to find the house that the wife wants, and trying to build. And so um, a lot of that's been taking priority over
No doubt.
over some of the deer stuff. But we have made some progress, and I'm excited for deer season to roll around. Still got some stuff that I'm looking to get done, like I said, but looking forward to deer season. I put in for some elk tags, which as Dan says, I watch a lot of Dan. Obviously, we're fans of Dan. As Dan says, I don't know how much domestic equity I have if I were to draw. However, I have put in for several elk tags and been unsuccessful. Still got a couple that I'm looking to put in for on the eastern side of the states. On the eastern side of the state. So got Pennsylvania. Its deadline coming up at the end of July.
Let's put in for that, dude. That's a late. We can get in that in October.
Yeah.
It'd be cold, but that's good. It'd be good. That'd be fun hunting.
So gonna put in for that one. Was unsuccessful in Virginia.
Yeah.
Let's see. What was another one? Tennessee, unsuccessful. Colorado obviously was unsuccessful, which I had put in for like big time units in Colorado. So I wasn't expecting, but I did get my point, and so all of that to say that I'm excited for deer season.
Well, you know what you need for deer season?
What's that?
I'm gonna put a plug in right here. Muddy blinds, podium archer. Josh, if you want to throw in one of these blinds that you own, and we'll call you out, and we'll be sponsored by you. But no, a blind, dude. Especially after breaking my back, and then after hunting in a blind, I like just hunting in a rhino blind off the ground. But
I did that a lot last year, and
there's pluses to it, there's minuses to it. You can't see as much, can't see as far.
Yeah.
But having an elevated blind, like even just like having a platform,
right?
Get your kids in there, get them introduced to hunting. It deadens things, it silences things. But I was thinking, man, we could honestly get some raw iron, and we could weld a frame, and then you could just get a rhino blind and just place it right on top, like strap it down, and that's the cheap way.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
That's seriously what you need is then like if Megan's working or whatever,
take the kids.
Yeah,
my two youngest.
Give them an iPad or whatever, and just be like, hush until the have earphones and hush until the elk come. Until the deer come. I wish we had elk just roaming.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm ready for. Sorry. The wife was texting me. Anyhow, sorry. Um, Speaking of elk in North Carolina, you know, I send my money to Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. I send my extra just to get, my little extra. Hopefully that we will be having an open elk season with more than a few tags here soon in North Carolina, because would be that would be cake.
It's gonna be like cake taking candy from a baby those first couple years.
Oh yeah. Well, and then so, Megan, her family has the cabin, and near the Asheville area, so you could easily
have a base there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, my two youngest have been asking me if I'm going to take them hunting this year, and I really want to. My son is my youngest, and he is all about hunting.
Might just have to let them smoke one with the rifle, man. Like, honestly, like, just set up a blind, like, over there by where your garden is, and just, you can have them in there and just have a first deer. You know, I was telling Riley, man, I went so long where I was like, I'm not shooting a doe and I'm not shooting a little buck for my first deer. And the only thing that did was make it a long time before I shot my first deer.
Yeah.
But then my first deer was like a 125-inch deer, and then it messed me up. Now I have honestly I'm needing to hunt Midwest. But the problem is right now is I'm so ate up by elk.
Yeah.
I need unlimited money. Anybody wants to do that for me too.
Yeah. Anybody who wants to sponsor any kind of hunts,
I need unlimited money.
That would be great. You want to sponsor us on a hunt? We'll use if you got specific gear you want us to use. I'm even open to that. If you want to sponsor me.
Are you gonna be a crossbow hunter then? If Raven calls you and they're like, "We'll sponsor you if you'll shoot all of your deer with a crossbow."
Not deer, no. If you said I'll sponsor an elk hunt, if you shoot it with a crossbow, which I know a lot of those out west consider that rifle, so it'd have to be a rifle season. So
well, it's a cross rifle.
But now if you said shoot an elk with it, that would take some consideration. Don't hate on me. I
wish you bought a crossbow for the kids,
but
you let them shoot it this summer. As long as you're the one that's doing all the cocking and teaching them how to shoot it, and if they could get accurate.
Yeah, I don't think anybody but the two oldest would really be able to.
I think Grayson's going to be your first. Grayson said she wants to hunt.
They're back and forth. My oldest said that she wanted to hunt, and then I buy her, or anyway, she gets all this camo. I can't remember if I bought it or not, but she gets all this camo, and then after she gets it, she's like, I don't know that I could watch a deer die. I'm like, But she has a big heart, so I get it.
It's fun, but I mean, that is, again, it's part of it, but it's not for everybody. But when people ask me how you do it, I said, well, you ate Chick-fil-A today. How'd you do that?
Yeah.
I promise this animal's living a better life and is dying better than those animals are.
Sure, yeah.
But anyway.
Anyhow, yeah, so just looking forward to deer season this year after doing some work and having some time to kind of really prep the property, and knowing the way that they kind of travel. I'm excited to see what this deer season holds.
Dude, you're going to smoke a big one this year. Like, I really believe that. The key is, and this is my philosophy all the time, is you got to get it done before the rut. Now, when the rut happens at your property, you got all these does bringing these big bucks. You're going to get I thought you were going to get lucky last year. Some of those deer that you had showing up, oh my goodness. Those were massive deer, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
lots of old.
Those were definitely 140, 145-inch deer easy.
Yeah.
Like those are big deer. But they don't get big for being stupid. But that's the way it goes,
Yeah.
like my camera would go off when I'm at work. There's the deer.
Yeah.
8 o'clock, 8:09 in the morning, showing up exactly where. But they're smart, dude.
Yeah.
They're not
That's
stupid.
why they're that old. That's why they're that big. So,
but I mean, I really feel like, yes, last year was just to try to figure a lot of stuff out.
yeah.
And then now you've put a little prep in. I'm a little bit behind. I still have my mineral sites left over, which I think some of that mineral stays. And a lot of people are against putting minerals out with CWD and whatever, but it's healthy for lactation. It's healthy for development. It's healthy for antler growth.
Oh yeah, it's just extra nutrients,
And keep your same way with us. If you're not taking vitamins in this day and age with all the stuff in our environment that we're exposed to, like, you're behind. That's just my opinion. You're not getting everything you need from food, and then the environmental factors are leaching out many important minerals and vitamins and things that you need. It's just that supplementation to give you that edge. And so just pour out a couple tubs of Lucky Buck. That's not, but they like that, dude.
Yeah.
And pour that out, and they're gonna come and hit it. So I gotta get some of that out. I've been seeing a couple deer in some early growth now on the cameras. I got a bunch of cameras that don't even work right now, but I'm just also trying not to spend.
Yeah.
I can spend a lot of money on hunting, but I'm trying not to spend as much
I was gonna say
money on hunting because I've got my elk trip coming up. This bear trip was a surprise, even though it was free. It wasn't free to get there, and it wasn't free to get back, and it wasn't free to, if I'm going to do anything with this hide. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet.
Right. Yeah.
I might just tan it, but I don't know. I've been thinking I might just shoulder mount it like a deer too, which initially I didn't think that I would like that, but talked with my guys at taxidermist, and it was like, I don't like telling you because I don't like to sway people. Because it doesn't have a white chevron or anything. Probably what I would do is just do a shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's just like a deer mount. So it's not like it's crazy expensive.
Right.
Like doing a half a full body.
Yeah.
Now, if I was Dan, I'd do a full body on that bear.
Oh, yeah. Massive.
He's going to need a grizzly form for that thing and shave the hump off. That's how big that bear is. That's a big bear, dude. But yeah. So, but yeah, a couple chores. You need to definitely get at least a mineral site for your deer right now.
Well, I had the one that was rightly close to the house there, down by the creek.
Yeah,
but
get some licking branches going. That's a big thing. You need to make a mock scrape right 20 yards from your shot spot.
Yeah, I've been. That's on the to-do list.
And obviously. Do it now. Get some hemp rope or something like that, which I think you did a hemp rope last year, right?
Mm-hmm. I got a couple, and well, during rut, I had a couple drip bags dripping down. So, but this year, I don't think they. Well, at least those there at my property, I don't think they responded as well to the hemp rope. So I think I'm gonna.
It's because it wasn't established. It was new.
Yeah, true.
They smelled it. You could see it through your pictures.
Yeah.
They acknowledge it's there. But if you get it out during now, what happens is if you make it low enough so that not only are the young does hitting it, all the fawns are touching it, all the young bucks are touching it, every mature buck's coming and touching it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it becomes a community thing. And they're all putting their scent. They all know each other. And they're all touching it.
So I had a spot on the eastern side of my property that was a natural scrape, and they tore that thing up.
You should probably figure out how to get access to that.
I have access. I had a blind there.
Well, and then you need to be hunting that.
I know exactly the way that they're coming too, and so
and hunting on a full moon after a rain midday. You'll
yeah.
kill your buck. I'm calling it now. Hunting at a midday, October 17th. Let's look on the calendar and see what day that is. That's one of my most favorite hunt days.
Let's see, October 17th.
When's the we need to look at when's the full moon. The full moon usually happens around Halloween in October. So that probably like
17th is a Friday. Oh, and I'm on call. Oh no.
It's alright. You can shoot a deer and then go in. I'll be there in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll be there in 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Exactly.
But yeah, man. Well, we're starting to. I don't know how much time you got or whatever, but we've been going for an hour. We can do a little longer, or we can wrap this thing up and come out another day. But what I can say is I like this way better. It's not like that we live far apart, but it's an hour and a half, and our work schedules don't really mesh great.
No, they don't. And I've been working pretty late as of recent with a couple projects at work, and so work schedule's kind of been crazy, which is another reason we hadn't really been able to.
But we're gonna start bringing more content. Even if I got to do, I've been thinking like even if we're just do individual, solo monologues, and it doesn't have to be an hour long. You can do a 10-minute snippet of whatever your thought is. Think of what's his name, Chad. He does the ultra marathons. He's another first form person, which I like mountain ops a lot, but there's some things I like from first form, and there's a lot of products that I do like from first form. And I have links in my stuff, but it's not like it's just for me. Nobody buys anything from me, but if you want to, feel free. It's on my Instagram page, cmsable_DDS.
Maybe we'll drop it in the links below.
No, I think I have it in the links on ours.
Okay,
maybe. Okay. I don't know. Those Rise bars are pretty delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sponsored. I just get a discount code there.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, but anyway, he does like these little truck talks and things like that, and just like sometimes they're 6 minutes long, which I'm hoping to bring some content. Dude, I still got to make a video from my elk hunt.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get some hunts on film this year. I realized I can do it. I almost got a doe on film last year, but then I didn't. But it's a lot more when you're trying to shoot, especially a deer on camera when you're not in the blind. When you're in an open stand and you got a old doe on you, and she's like, I've walked past this stand a million times, and she's gonna come in, and no matter how much background you have, she's gonna check that stand because she's not stupid. And if you have any kind of movement, you're busted and your hunt's done.
Bobbing.
Yeah. Which I did see recently. Sometimes when they're bobbing, they're actually scanning because they see horizontally. So they're scanning up and down. But when she's on you and she's dipping that head. As long as she's not blowing and stomping at you. But sometimes you get one that's just, you don't know what's happened. You don't have any idea what the neighbor just might have tried to shoot at her. You don't know. But point is like
it's not as easy to get it on.
If you're in a blind,
I didn't get the shot opportunity trying to get one on camera last year. Not at my property. It was later on in the year, and was hunting at my parents' actually from a older gentleman that we got permission to hunt his property. So, but I was going to try to get it on camera, for you guys, and ended up missing an opportunity. And so, more power to you guys who have been doing it for however many years, or maybe you just started doing it, but it's a lot harder than it looks, and I didn't realize until I tried to do it.
You either have to have everything just set up and ready to roll. But even, especially deer, they're there. I mean, they're not there, and then they're there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you don't always hear them walking in. They can come in just dead silent, and then or like if you're like, oh, I'm so bored, and you're like looking down, like checking your email, or you're like, let me see what's on Instagram or something, you know? And then next thing you know, you look up and there's a doe looking at you, and she's like, and you're like, I can't move, I can't blink, I don't want to do anything. Like, and you get busted, like you're about to get busted, but
Yeah.
you just gotta, like, when I filmed that bear and tried to catch that shot for Dan, like, I did have he called me out for it one day when we were shooting. He's like, he's got a selfie stick. And I'm like, dude, you know, I just like to record myself shooting, which is helpful. Just to watch yourself.
Right, yeah.
And just see what you're doing and what was I doing good today or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, have something like that going. I think it's Broken Arrow. Does that sound right? Or Wild Arrow? Maybe it's Wild Arrow. They have the magnetic background, and you just take your phone and you stick it to it. Same thing as like a mag view, like, which this is a mag view.
Oh, like putting it on your bow or whatever?
Yeah, you just put it on your bow. Like, I think that'd be good for you, because then the shot's there all the time.
Yeah.
But I do like...
Yeah, I thought about it.
I do like having, like... I like it seeing me, too, like, in the draw, and then also catching what's going on. But, I mean, I think once we get better... I mean, you could do it with your phone, but I would love to invest into, like, having, like, some really good cameras. My buddy from dental school, Jimmy, like, he's really good with photography and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes I'll ask questions with him or whatever about cameras. And we had a couple photography classes in dental school, but, you know, most of the time if I need something taken a picture of in clinic, you just use an iPhone and it does the job.
Right, yeah.
So, you know, but as we grow, maybe, you know, it's something we can do. But, you know, and this is what I've said this to Dan too. I want to film things, but I enjoy killing things more than I enjoy filming things.
Yeah.
And so, like, even with my elk shot, you know, I was like, that didn't get on camera outside of, like, having somebody with me the whole time filming. Mm-hmm. And even when Blaine was with me, like, you know, once we got into those, you know, that rut fest, and I was like, record as much as you can. But it was like, those elk were pushing up that mountain. What I realized eventually was that I was in between two elk, one a satellite, one a herd bull, and at least one cow of that particular setting where we were in. And that bull was pushing his cow, and that satellite was challenging him. And then I got in the mix of in between, and it was nasty crazy, dude. But you want to talk about your heart pounding? I've never had a buck fever, as you would call it, that bad. Even the morning I shot my elk, like, I'm like coming to my peep, my anchor, everything's there, and I'm like, I can't feel my nose, button, and my nose button, and I'm like, yes, and then I'm like walking, and which we should just save that for another podcast, because
yeah,
you know,
we don't want to rush. We want to do it justice. You know, obviously with it being last year's,
and elk season's around the corner, baby.
We'll have to just, definitely don't want to rush that. But for those who have experienced an elk bugle, it is captivating. Obviously, it will hook you and reel you in. And
just ask Blaine. If he listens to this, he's hooked. He's going hunting with me this year.
And it's nothing to rifle hunters, but when you're in that close proximity and you have bugling going on, it gets you jacked up. You go 0 to 100 like nothing.
It's not always like that hunting over the counter pressured units.
But when you hear that bugle pop off, it's like, oh boy.
But I would say, you know, even despite hunting pressured units, we're pretty fortunate to get into some bugling and having some bugle action, having some action every year. and just having some crazy encounters every year, despite. But last year, dude, oh man, I wanted you there so bad. I wanted you to experience that. And Blaine was like, I've never experienced anything like that in my whole life.
Yeah.
He was like, that was crazy, you know. But
it just does something to you. So maybe the next one we'll talk more about.
We will start talking more elk. Elk is around the corner, 2.5 months, literally. Like, we're talking. It's June 15th right now.
Yeah, so they're calving and all.
Well, I'm just saying September's gonna be here.
Yeah, it's
where has life went since 2020? Think about that. Caleb, did you see his post the other day on Instagram on the story? It was like, we're June of 2025. We're 6 months to 2026. Can we slow down? I haven't processed anything since 2020. Like, no, seriously. I mean, like, it's that thing of, Dad's like, oh, the older you get, the faster time goes, boys. And you're like, oh, yeah, whatever. Okay, Dad. But, dude, time's flying. Yeah. Time's flying. But we're going to bring more content to you. Hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Talking, maybe you enjoyed it more in person.
Leave a comment. What do you think? If you're somebody that listens to us, you follow us, obviously comments and shares and things like that help us grow. And we're just a bunch of nobodies. I mean, we're somebody. I shouldn't say we're a bunch of nobodies. We're somebodies.
We're just trying to share our experiences with you guys. I mean, we don't claim to be, the best of the best. We don't claim
we don't have
anything like that. We're just trying to share what experiences we've had, what we've been able to see over the years, and
there's no reason
just kind of techniques that we have found as far as from a hunting aspect that have worked for us, that haven't worked for us. So by no means do we claim to be experts, but we do have some experiences, and so that's kind of what we're trying to do, is just share our experiences with you all. But definitely leave a comment if you like the in-person stuff. Like Cody said, maybe we'll start doing some solos if our schedule doesn't line up, just so we can get you guys some content. But yeah, definitely comment if there's anything that you would like for us to talk about. We're always open to suggestions. If we, obviously, especially if we've had any experience with it, any questions, we'll try to go through the comments and answer directly. So we're looking for some interaction, so don't be shy to drop a comment.
Like, share, subscribe. That's also important. So, if you do view this and you're not liking our comment, if you're not liking our videos, if you're not subscribing to us, like, that's the only way the algorithm is going to make us grow as a channel. Right. And we got to put more into making it grow. We just got to put more into getting content out there. And that's just kind of what I'm chalking it up to be. Like, I'm not trying to be anything or whatever, but why not? Like, why not? Like, we have things to give, and I enjoy this, and I just think it's cool. We sit around and we talk all the time, so it's like, why don't we just film it?
Yeah. So we talk about hunting all the time, so we just figured, why not film it? Film whatever else that we want to talk about, sports, whatever. Obviously being a big sports fan back in the day, and that kind of carrying over into our hunting, having that same kind of mentality of just trying to be the best that we can. Like I said, we might not be the best, but we strive towards a perfection in whatever craft it is that we're trying to do. So
work hard, give it our all. That's all that you can do.
Yep.
And learn to be better. So I don't know. Hopefully you pick up a nugget from something that we say. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Yes, happy Father's Day.
If your dad's still around, appreciate that. Tell them you love them. We're blessed to have that. But there's a lot of people that are not here. Grandparents that are not here.
Sure.
So anyway, we'll wrap this thing up. But
man,
keep pressing play. name of our podcast. And appreciate you tuning in if you have. And we're looking forward to bringing you more content, especially through the summer, which seems to be when we have a little more. You know me, once hunting season starts, don't ask me for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's selfish, I know, but that's what I live for.
Well, your spare time should be spent in the woods for sure. So
yeah, so you can't kill them if you're not in there. You
Yeah.
cannot kill a deer from the couch.
Right.
You cannot kill an elk. Having lunch back at camp.
Yeah.
Be in the woods as much as you can, as what Phil Robinson said. Right? Didn't he say that?
Well, I mean, it's just the simple fact of things. If you're not in there, you're definitely not going to get the opportunity at a shot. So
make things happen.
Yep. Anyways, keep pressing play, guys. Stay tuned. Bring you more content. More to come.
Later.
Take care.